Let us stand for the pledge, and please note that the mayor is not here today, as well as our town administrator, Lois George, who I thought would be online, but he is not. So if you will, please follow me in the lead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Following the agenda, I'm going to ask for approval of the minutes.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All those in favor, the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Same for the financial report. Can I get a motion for that as well?
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and second.
Had a
I'm
question.
sorry, you're right.
Had a quick question, but, I thought Nicole would be here. It's about, Good Child Towing in Newcastle. I'm curious about, what service we're contracted for and
That's
why.
probably through me. It's for the use of an undercover car. We've done this for many years, once, with, Sergeant Gosser at the task force, and then now we use it sometimes for our street crimes unit. To do surveillance and things like that on people.
We do a monthly rental
There was a monthly rental for that, yeah.
and then, oh, okay, rental car 2 weeks only. So
So then we had one that got burnt. We had to have another one. We had a special issue there.
So it has nothing to do with towing service.
No, they didn't tell. It's, that they do provide
That's
car
why
person switch out.
I was just confused by that. So thank you. That took care of that question.
Any other questions? All those in favor, use the sign of aye.
Aye.
Have it. Motion is carried. At this time, we will have a public hearing, resolution R2-2025. Dean Miller is presenting that.
Not for resolution.
Oh, no, you're not. I'm sorry. Do we have any information on that, Catherine?
Yes, that R2-2025, is a public hearing that's scheduled, to amend the charter of the town of Elkton, Article 7, registrations, nominations, and elections. P73 election dates, filing as candidates, terms of office for the purpose of deleting provision requiring commissioner to resign his or her office if he or she files for election to the office of mayor. Presented for approval.
I think that's 3 of them. Yeah.
At our previous meeting, Michelle, who was then with us, read this resolution out for us. I think we all should be aware of it. It has to do with the election, which is also going to be in the newspaper. Is there anyone who objects to this? Because we can vote right now for approval. Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
We properly moved in second for the passing of the resolution R2-2025. All in favor, use the sign of aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion is carried. And as we move on in our meeting, we have a petition for annexation presented for approval. Okay, here we go. Would you like to reacquaint us with what you're doing here? Because we're absent some of our key people, but the meeting goes on and you're here to make do for their absence.
That's right. So Tom Minor, Frederick Ward, 116 West Main Street, Elkton. That's Michael McConnell with McConnell Development. So we're proposing annexation just north of I guess the newly annexed in Estes lot. To the north of there are 3 parcels with approximately 9.9736 acres. We're going to be requesting annexation of those 3 parcels to end up being rectangular in shape. And we'll be annexing to the town from RM zoning in the county to the BI, effectively taking it in and being a portion of we're integrating into it with the development that's off Conica, and those warehouses that are right there. That's the intention of the annexation. Michael McConnell here, he's developed both of those other warehouses that are currently, and so this is kind of a continuation of that.
Is that your map over there?
Yes, so this is. So
Yeah, I just didn't know.
this is the annexation piece that we're asking for. So the Estes piece that was just annexed in is right here. And then we also have, the other piece, it's C2, kind of to the north here. So this kind of squares it off and kind of ends the industrial zoning piece on this side. There's also a fairly defined, stream or it's actually a man-made channel, but it's a stream that runs right through here. That kind of also creates a nice natural barrier between that industrial and the residential zoning. So this is currently BI, this is C2, and we're kind of annexing it to create that, finish that boundary and create a clean break between residential and commercial business industrial uses. And then in terms of access, so we're the owners of 1002 and 1003 Conica Drive. We would access this site through those properties to the cul-de-sac at Conica. So all traffic would flow through the Upper Chesapeake Business Park.
Any questions from any member of the board? Thank you for coming and at this time with your map and, reacquainting us with what you had been here before to discuss. This is for approval. Is there a motion to do so?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion is approved. You have approval.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Any additional information, you can come and see somebody in the office.
And this was what you have before is a petition for annexation,
What's the change?
and I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in here. So they're presenting a petition for annexation. If the petition for annexation is accepted, then you can move on to the next one, which is the annexation resolution introduction. So that they're here for that next.
Oh, okay.
If you
here.
approve the petition. Accept the petition.
Part A, B.
Part
So
A,
she's-
part
Part A
B.
and
She's
part
just-
B?
Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. What she's saying is we can move on without having to worry about, holding everything. So
It
go
looks
to the
like they're
next.
one and the same resolution though.
No, excuse me. So the petition for annexation is the petition that they had drafted to the town. And then the annexation resolution is referring to the property that was mentioned in their petition. So that annexation resolution A1 2025 will be, is presented for introduction.
There's two separate actions for annexation to begin to take place. The first is the submittal of a petition for annexation, which is what they just presented. And then the second is, if you accept the petition for annexation, is for them to move on to an introduction for the resolution for the annexation.
Right,
And then you'll have a public hearing on that annexation
right.
in
So
May.
So we have to make.
we
a
covered it then,
presentation.
right? Or
You have,
We have
we
to
have to do,
vote on an annexation to be presented.
you have to
Following the,
accept the petition for annexation and then vote on the resolution.
well, following the script here, we have approved the petition for annexation. So next, you're talking about what's new for the meeting, which is the property,
You
correct?
should probably take a vote to approve accept the petition for annexation first.
We've done that.
Oh, you did vote on that. Okay.
Yes, we did that.
Okay.
And so we're
And
at
now
the
you've
next
got
part.
to hear the,
Thank you for reminding me, but we're on target.
okay.
Good job. So that, for the annexation resolution, presented for introduction.
I make a motion that we accept a presentation for annexation for this, proposal.
For introduction, I'll second.
For introduction purposes only, because we've already, acknowledged the approval for the previous. So all those, you have a question?
no.
All those in favor, usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those in favor is aye, and it is approved. So, you'll be back again for the final.
We got
Yeah,
it.
We
we'll,
got that.
thank you guys for your
No
time.
problem.
Thank you, guys.
We have done it, so that's why we're really like- Next, again, following our agenda, Rachel Wright, Executive Director of County Public Library. Thank you for coming, and would you please come forward with whomever you have, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Did your cohort want to come with you to sit up?
I think they might be happy right where they are. Thank you for the invitation to share updates from the Cecil County Public Library. I'm Rachel Wright. I am the new executive director for the library. I've been with the Cecil County Public Library for close to 16 years, and I'm very excited for this new opportunity. I am joined here today by Fraser Walker, who is our Communications and Development Manager, as well as Adele Cruz, who is our Operations Manager. So we have a presentation slides that looks like we're working on getting them there, and you all do have copies in front of you, along with a folder of other kinds of wonderful information from the library. But we're going to be talking about a few updates.
Which one are we gonna be looking at? Do you have the link, the
The,
library link?
no, the full,
Looks like the
the
update.
PowerPoint presentation slide.
Blue cover.
The blue?
It's stapled. That's the one.
Thank you.
Oh, perfect. You have it on the big screen as well. This is the next slide. Perfect. Thank you so much. So for today, also in your packet, that you'll have a chance to hold on to and look at your convenience. But I thought I would start by sharing some highlights from our recently released annual report. Our annual report this year is a year in the life of the library, which follows the library over the course of a very busy year. Which follows the library over the course of a very busy year, where we welcomed 288,000 plus visitors to our 6 branches. We are pleased this year to have launched new services, new collections, and even a few new spaces. So while I only have time today to highlight just a few, I invite you to read that annual report cover to cover for a full accounting of all the many ways that the library is positively impacting and serving this community. All right, so just a few highlights then. One of my very favorite new programs of this past year is Reading Buddies. Shown here, this is an innovative reading support program that matches trained volunteers with an elementary student for one-on-one reading support. So over the course of 10 weeks meeting at the library, students have the opportunity to build and practice their reading skills, gain confidence, and develop a shared love of reading. This program has been a true success. We've heard from parents and teachers who have noted their improved skills of their children, volunteers from the community who are very excited to be making a difference in the community and connecting with families, and even the students themselves who race into the library to meet with their volunteer. With having trained more than 60 volunteers this year for this program, we are pleased to be able to offer this in many of our branches. Also new for this year, the addition of a fully equipped mobile kitchen cart, allowing us to offer a series of cooking classes for kids and teens and adults. And some of our new collections, we have 2 new collections this year. Though they serve different audiences, they both have the goal of providing access to materials and equipment for learning that can go beyond the walls of the library. First, we have our Creator Studio kits. This development of this collection is in partnership with the Office of Economic Development and the Upper Shore Regional Council, who provided the funds to purchase the first kits for this collection. These kits are for tech enthusiasts, small business owners, entrepreneurs. They are themed around still photography, portraiture, and podcasting. And so each kit includes everything you need to create high quality videos and photos using your smartphone. And then our Nature Explorer kits, these are wonderful. They have books and tools and activities and games to encourage children and families to get outside and to explore the world around them.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, sorry.
No. And then a few new spaces. So starting with the renovation of the Perryville Branch Library. If you haven't visited recently, I definitely invite you to do so. It is well worth the trip. With generous support from the library's Friends Foundation, we embarked on a renovation that has truly transformed the Perryville Library. So what we have pictured here, it's a little small, but on the top row, we have some before photos of the Perryville branch. And the bottom row, we have our after photos. So some of the things that we were really able to achieve through this program without changing the footprint is we reconfigured spaces. We added spaces to better meet the needs of this community. And that bottom left picture, you'll see we have added 4 study rooms. So we have a total of 4 study rooms in Perryville now, perfect for when you need a space to work or study. We also, if you look at the far right bottom, transformed our tower space into a job and tech tower. So we have one-on-one assistance that we provide for those who are job searching, looking to upskill or need tech support. And so I wanted to share these along with the next slide to really show how a renovation can completely transform a space. Because we are going to be talking about and hope that you join us in envisioning the future of Elkton and what we have planned for Elkton. A few other, these are all the new spaces highlighted here in Perryville. That top left is our new dedicated teen space. This was in response to a real need to create spaces to welcome more than 50 middle schoolers who visit the library every day after school. So we wanted a space for them. It has comfortable seating, gaming, teen librarians, and a door, which makes it a great place for teens. It's the ultimate rec room in the after-school hours. We also have, that's an interior shot of one of our study rooms. So again, you can see flexible seating and the technology that is included in those spaces, as well as a family gathering space. So that families who have children of multiple ages have a place to be in the library. And last, but far from least, we refreshed the Elkton Children's Room. So again, if you haven't been there, please take some time to go visit. By adding opportunities for interactive learning, the Elkton Children's Room is the place for families to learn, explore, and play, and we even have a fire truck. So as I talk about the Elkton refresh of what we've done in the children's room, this is really just the beginning of all the wonderful things that we have planned for the Elkton renovation and expansion. So that is up next on our list. So first, Elkton is very busy. If you haven't been, during the last fiscal year, we saw over 70,000 visits at the Elkton Branch Library. This was a 10% increase over the year before that. And having already seen 52,000 this year, we're on track to have an additional 10% increase. We have increased programming just this year by 62%, attendance by 47%. Our study rooms are in high demand. You can see the 1,200 reservations and 1,600 users. So
So if
all
I may cut
this
in,
to
please,
say,
I'm sorry, but what do you attribute the 10% increases to exactly? Is it your
I think a couple of things. So we do now have 2 study rooms in Elkton, and that is something that the community definitely has needed and looked for. We were able to have study rooms in other branches, but having them in Elkton is a newer addition to that space. I think our increase in the programming that we're offering is also driving the public to come to the library. In addition to all the things that they're used to having access to. So whether it's collections, a full bank of computers for access. I think the library has a lot of things that people in the community need. And so our marketing team and communication, getting the word out to people that we're here, we're in Elkton. And it's the place to come, no matter what your question is. We have reference librarians that are there. If you have copies you need to make, if you want to, bring your child and hang out in the children's room, it's a space for you. So I think it just really does speak to a lot of the needs that are in the community.
So between your marketing and the upgrades,
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And I love to hear that, people are spreading the word about libraries and all that we do. So all this to say that Elkton is a thriving community hub. And so a renovation is desperately needed to continue to ensure that the community has access to all the things that they need, and that the branch is operating effectively and efficiently. And so as we talk about Elkton, most of you know Elkton is close to 40 years old now. And as we've shared, it's well utilized and in need of a renovation. We will need through this project to address aging systems. We'll need to replace the HVAC, lighting and security. We have plans to upgrade the electricity to improve access. And also critical to the entire project is addressing the water infiltration issues, which include the courtyard. So bottom left is the courtyard. That's the space that fronts Newark Avenue there, and it floods regularly. And that brings water into our children's space as well as into our meeting room. And so it's a real pain point for our branch and for our staff. And so certainly we need to address this in the renovation to make sure that we don't go through all the trouble of having a renovation and then continuing to have flooded spaces.
Is that like with heavy rains or?
Yeah,
Any rain.
heavy rains, rain that comes sideways, blowing wind, wind and rain. So yes. Our hope in all of this is to be able to capture additional space by expanding into the courtyard. We think that's probably going to be the most effective way to address those flooding issues, which is to bring it under roof a little bit, which can also add greatly needed space to the branch itself. As these pictures illustrate, you can see all of the teams that are again coming to the branch in the after school hours. We are wonderfully located within walking distance of Gilpin, Elkton Middle, and Elkton High. And so these students need a place where they can go, especially in the after school hours, to study, to socialize, to engage with one another, to have access to computers. And so we just need to make sure that they have a space like Northeast, like Perryville, that is really designed for them. To be there while also inviting, everybody else in the community who needs to come and be in those spaces as well. So the needs of the community have evolved, and this renovation will allow us to reconfigure the layout to hopefully expand, so that we can create spaces to better serve Elkton. And so we're kind of at the beginning of that design process. And so thank you again for inviting us to come and tell you a little bit more about it. At the end of January, we were very excited to invite the community to envision with us the future of the Elkton branch. We had over 70 people over a couple of days, including teams, business and community leaders, the community, Mr. Givens, to share with us their hopes for the Elkton branch. Some of the things we heard are listed here, and they align with some of the project goals that we had already established. Certainly more study rooms. We're hoping for as many as the space will allow, hopefully at least 6. A dedicated space for teens, as we've mentioned, the potential for a space for creativity and hands-on learning. And so just all in all, we look forward to planning for a branch that can grow and serve the community for decades to come. And so our Friends Foundation, they play a critical role in enabling us to do the many wonderful things that we do. By advocating for the library, they provide funding support to enhance the library system. They have annual events such as the Crab Crawl, the upcoming Books, Bourbon, and Barbecue, which I would invite you all to be there for. These events shine a light on impactful library services while engaging the community and raising funds to support the library and its mission. So during the Northeast Branch project, there on the lower right, the Friends Foundation had a very successful Raising the 21st Child campaign. This raised the funds needed to create specialized spaces on the second floor in Northeast. Things like our Town Early Literacy Center, an interactive STEM learning wall, our Everbright, which is essentially a digital light bright there for multi-generational exploration, and a fantastic space for teens. So while county and state funds will cover the basics of the renovation and expansion, as we did for the Northeast Branch Library, however, we will be relying on our Friends Foundation, who will soon launch a capital campaign, as well as the generosity of the community to raise funds that we need to elevate and enhance, all of our spaces, and to again ensure that the community has all the 21st century things that they need in whatever it is that they are endeavoring to do when they visit the library. So I thank you for your time. As we move forward with the project, I hope to come back often to answer your questions, to provide updates, and just to overall generate lots of excitement for what we know is going to be an amazing Elkton library.
I think the library has really been a hub, not only here in the Elkton community, but particularly Perryville, which recently built from Northeast, because now the community organizations and clubs are actually using you all's facility
Exactly.
to have a place to meet.
Mhm.
Even though they have other places, there's something different about going to the library. And certainly you have offered the young children a lot of after-school activity. I think you're having one this afternoon.
We do, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
I think you have 17 or 18 from my church
I was
coming
gonna
up
say, we
there.
have a wonderful partnership with Rights AME,
Right.
and so we have some students coming over this afternoon.
And also from previous discussion, you're doing an awful lot of things to entice senior citizens to come there, either be there for themselves or whatever, or to be there with the children.
Mhm.
So it's been great. You're a hub. Any other questions for Rachel?
Just one, I'm a little concerned about that flooding you mentioned. I didn't know that was happening over there.
Yeah,
This is too simple a question to ask, but I gotta ask, have you looked into, grading? Have you looked into?
I said, now I'm going to definitely defer to the manager of operations, because she's been dealing with it for many years.
For many years. As you all know, that the weather, the storms that we're getting are a lot more rain, a lot faster. And the drainage system in the courtyard right now, we're below grade, we're below the road. And it's coming off of a lot of roof and going out and in and around. So it just gets totally overwhelmed by the amount of water that's coming in. So you can't really grade anything because we're below grade. So we put in bigger pipes. We did grades by the door. So over the years, we've addressed the issue, but it's just at the point now where we would just like to fix it entirely and enclose that space, bring it into public use and get the water away from us.
In closing it though, I don't see how that will stop the water from coming into that space.
It's gonna be on the roof and a part of the building, so all that water is gonna be further out. It's not gonna be.
Has it been getting into the library
Yes.
when it pools and so wouldn't it get into the new enclosure?
No, because the way we're gonna design that, all that water, stormwater management will be designed
To divert?
for all the
That's
water.
what I'm wondering, how come it's not being diverted now by a simple swale or something that could be built into the ground.
I don't know if you can see the picture that, Rachel
Can you go
had
back
up
to
there.
10?
This is courtyard, below grade. It has, it's down there on the bottom.
Sits
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
almost like a pool.
But you can't stop the water before it gets there,
Oh.
is what I'm thinking.
Well, it's got downspouts that go into it, it was designed for the water to come in and then go into the drain that's by the, roadside. We put in places over the years to fix it. We're just saying at this time, the best way to fix it is to bring it into the public space and be a part of the library indoors. And then design stormwater management, coming off the roof, all the water associated with it, to design it so it stays away from being able to come into the building, period. Because we have downspouts in that courtyard.
Well, you're gonna, take care of two problems in one,
Correct.
Exactly.
space and,
Yes.
water. That's good, that's great. Wonderful. And you need to, how and when will that happen? Has that been approved?
So the overall project, we are in the county's 5-year CIP. So we're in year 1 of design right now.
Okay.
And so as we go through that process, we'll continue to engage the community when there are more things to share about that design space, get the feedback. And then as we get further into the project and have, timelines in terms of construction and all of those things, then we'll, definitely want to be sharing that with you. And Fraser will definitely have the Friends Foundation in their capital campaign. You'll start to see that.
I'm sorry that I couldn't be there when you had your open house of others. If this expansion that you're gonna do in this particular area is that gonna give you the space you need, or is there more plans to go up?
So we're not able to go up, and this did come up also at the
Really?
community
Sure did.
sessions. So, we want to keep the location where it is, because again, it's in a really great spot with the schools and all of those things. So working with our designers and our architects to create spaces that are flexible so that we can, they're multi-purpose, so that when, if it's teens in the afternoon, but if it's a different use in the, in the mornings, we can use that same space for a different purpose. And then again, the shape of the Elkton Library is an H. So the courtyard is kind of one part of the H. So if we can expand in that direction, and then potentially looking at, could we potentially expand the other way as well? So kind of pushing out that center part of the H to capture some additional space, to really be able to, again, get those study rooms, get the dedicated teen space that we need. So we've seen some very preliminary concepts of what the architects are thinking they might be able to accomplish. And I think that it's hitting all those marks and the things
That's
that we're
wonderful.
looking to do.
Good to hear, thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody? The Reading Buddies program is a good program to have. Before you leave, I thought I'd let you know that. It reminds me when they had the Reading Across America, when staff and adults were reading the kids, but now the kids get a chance to read to the adults in that program.
Yes, and that really, we developed that last year in response to, not only the county's reading crisis, which is actually a national reading crisis. And so these students who are elementary students really have an opportunity to get additional practice with their reading. It's at the library, so they're connecting to the library and the services that we provide. And again, we also were looking for ways to engage our volunteers. We do partner with the county's Department of Community Services, so they're 55 plus senior leadership type program. And so there are a lot of the volunteers that we have. So again, looking for ways to connect to the community, to have an impact in their community. And it's been a really wonderful program. We have heard from the state that there's interest in scaling this up and replicating it in libraries across the state of Maryland. So we're right now talking to them and giving them all the things that we've done and what we've learned, because it's a really a program that can make a huge difference in a community.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Nice to meet you all. Make it official. Right.
Next before us is Mr. Owen McAvoy, representing Nelson Mullins, and Earl just mentioned that Louis George is online, so that's good.
I have paper presentations. My computer wasn't helping me out right now, so. Makes it easier anyway, right?
Yeah.
I made 8, so
Oh,
just,
okay.
just, you always make more than you probably need. And I'll provide this to the town afterwards for the minutes.
When you work for a company, they don't want those extra pages. I'm excited about that. Page.
I found that more is better.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's always more people in a meeting and think they're on the bit. Yeah. Thank you very much. Want to thank the town commission for taking the time. Owen McAvoy of council at Nelson Mullins. To get into a little bit of why I'm here today, I had a conversation a few months ago with the mayor regarding Elkton and your priorities. And so I thought I'd start out a little bit. We're talking about the firm, which some of you may be familiar with. We did some work on Southfields and some other projects in the county. But Nelson Mullins is a national law firm. We have 50 attorneys here in Maryland out of our Baltimore office. We have more than 1,000 attorneys nationally. We have 33 offices serving clients in more than 100 practice areas. And we're as of at least 2023, the 68th largest firm in the country. Our practice areas are corporate law, government relations, intellectual property, litigation, life sciences, mergers and acquisitions, products liability, real estate, which we've worked in Elkton on, and then trust and estates. A little bit about me, because I may have met some of you in a prior life. I'm the former acting secretary of the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. I was a transitionary figure between the current administration and the previous administration, and also during that time I was deputy secretary. So I kind of carried over between Governor Hogan and Governor Moore. Before that, I worked in local government in Anne Arundel County as the director of public information and media relations, and basically worked in government for about 14 years until I went into the private sector about a year and a half ago. My practice focus is generally helping developers, nonprofits, local governments obtain state support for priority projects. I advocate for clients for local governing bodies like here, local executive branches, and their state counterparts, the Maryland General Assembly and the governor's office. Currently, we're in the midst of the 90-day session, so I'm drafting, supporting, and monitoring legislation on behalf of the clients. And I also represent clients before regulatory agencies like the PSC and other regulatory bodies. A little bit about sort of, what the firm has done for local governments in general and our clients. As some of you are probably aware, I believe Elkton was awarded money in the last 2024 state revitalization grant program. Our clients successfully obtained 9 grants totaling about $5 million. in the FY '25 awards. Other issues I've been involved with is obtaining an additional 1.5 million in soft debt, which means a loan for a client, helping them close on a transaction in Anne Arundel County, obtain a 2% interest rate reduction for a neighborhood business works loan for a nonprofit in Baltimore, helping them fill a gap in their new market tax credit financing gap. And I successfully lobbied for changes in the state draft qualified action plan, which is kind of the rules in the road when it comes to affordable housing projects and how they get funded, on behalf of a group of clients, ensuring that their projects would not be negatively impacted. If you have any questions, anyone during, I was happy to answer them. This is just a case study. One of our successful grant awards was the repurposing of a sort of dilapidated strip mall in partnership with a private developer in UMBC. They got $1 million through the SEED program, which is a partnership with a local anchor institution, education, healthcare. And right now, before the General Assembly, there's a bond initiative request for an additional $1 million. The conversations with the mayor, he and I sat down and sort of laid, and these are by no means just limited to these three, but this is sort of what he thought the town of Elkton, at least his priority were, and I understand that can expand or retract based upon other members of the commission. Issues with flood control and resiliency, the Holly Hall redevelopment. We actually awarded some funding to when I was deputy secretary, and the armory repurposing. And these are sort of in conversations with the mayor. I sort of laid out different initiatives Elkton could pursue to close the gaps on projects, get state support for the projects. I can go through line by line, but there are different state programs that fit into what you all would be trying to do. Flood control, there's a comprehensive flood management program, which I think is funded about $13 million in this capital budget that's before the General Assembly. There's a local bond initiative and obviously the governor's budget. And then with Holly Hall, because it's a neighborhood revitalization project that my old department used to fund and support. These are some acronyms that I probably should have spelled out, but state, the Strategic Demolition Fund, Community Legacy, and the SEED grant program, which I mentioned earlier, would all be options for that, along with MHT credits, the Maryland Historical Trust, the governor's budget, local bond initiative. For the armory, there's a potential for a partnership with a local developer for something called the Catalytic Revitalization Tax Credit. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Tell us.
It's relatively new and was funded in about, it was 2021. The idea was historically significant state or local owned properties. The challenge of redoing those is obviously they're very expensive if you're trying to repurpose it, and there's usually a significant gap. It came about because there was a development team in Sykesville trying to redevelop something called the Warfield campus. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's an old, I believe, mental hospital that the state owned and operated. And there are a lot of these facilities, including armories all over the state, that have over the last 40 or 50 years been shut down and either sitting inactive or mildly repurposed and have significant structural needs and remediation issues. It's a $15 million tax credit the state awards every 2 years. And they actually just awarded it this past round for the Pikesville Armory in Baltimore. There's a development plan down there that they've worked for 4 or 5 years to get everybody sort of moving in the same direction of what they want to see there. And my former department just awarded it. So those are sort of at a high level as you guys are looking to address sort of your local needs and your local priorities. Some possibilities. They're not probabilities. In terms of a general strategy, this is what sort of I do on a day-to-day basis. We kind of split the world into 2 different areas: executive advocacy and legislative advocacy. Legislative advocacy takes place right now during a legislative session, and usually in the month or 2 up to that, if they're trying to pre-file bills. Executive advocacy is a little more nuanced. It can be 12 months a year. I have April to December here, but Obviously, you can lobby the executive branch anytime. Usually that centers around grant rounds, and when applications are open, when you know a town or a city or a nonprofit or a developer is gonna put in for one. Just positioning the project in a way where the secretary, members of the governor's staff are aware of it. Bring to light sort of the value, particularly on the neighborhood revitalization or economic development aspects of it, and then you keep pushing and hope that it gets funded. Hope that it gets funded. Like I said, last grant round we were pretty successful. Again, it wasn't all just me. I think it was the projects in particular, but you know, given our firm's relationship with the current administration and some members of the General Assembly, we were pretty successful. I try to keep these things short because I did work in government and understand 10 to 11 slides in a PowerPoint is usually the best way to go. But I'm happy to answer any questions. You know, I threw a lot at you.
Yeah, I know, actually, this is very, I don't want to say short and sweet, but
Yeah.
it's definitely to the point. So the mayor asked you to come before the board.
Yes.
Just to explain.
I think there's sometimes, and I used to say this when I was in state government, and it's not that there's a lot of different ways to try and get things funded, particularly through my former department. And there's lots of times people just, you know, you apply for a grant, you get awarded, and then, you know, maybe you don't apply again, or you apply for something else. What my former department used to do was, you know, if they liked a project and there was a gap, they used to find a way to fund it over a multi-year period. Now, obviously, the state, and everybody here's reading, is going into some significant fiscal challenges. That being said, if it's a capital project, the capital budget, at least this year and for the next couple of years, is probably pretty sound. All the pressure seems to be on the operating budget. But, you know, I talked to the mayor extensively about, you know, what you all wanted to do, and I just sort of gave him suggestions back of the envelope on how you could do it. And he suggested I come and talk to you all. So that's why I'm here.
I think in my thoughts is probably the first person that we should have you talk with is our town planner,
Sure.
who basically leads the charge on all of these, except flood control perhaps. But, oh, you do that too, okay. She's right here. Jean Minner. She was here for the annexation. That's just my thoughts. Jean, are you able to make that happen?
Yeah, I'd be happy to meet with you, discuss that. We currently have a number of grants.
Sure.
That we're working on. I have a strategic demolition grant for lead paint abatement for the armory.
Yep.
We have an acquisition and stabilization grant for the Holly
Holly Hall,
Hall building. I've got 2 Maryland Historic Trust grants for uplanding.
Okay.
I have a flood control grant that's under review right now, and our consultant with Verdantis is submitting another one on Friday for another aspect of that. There's a CDBG grant that would be a good project, but unfortunately they sort of halted that for the time being.
Yes.
Depending on the budget.
Cindy, yeah.
This was for a project that I've asked the subrecipient to speak to the board about. She preferred that we request the CDBG funding and award them as a subrecipient for this project.
Well, I'll give you my card. We can definitely.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So now that we know who you are and what you do.
It may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing.
No, I think personally, I think the best thing to do is get with Jean on more in-depth, you know, information, because she certainly is. She's leading the charge on our behalf.
Absolutely. The good thing, particularly about the community development side, and I'm not just saying this because he was my boss, but Secretary Day's been very successful in advocating for his programs, and I don't generally see that changing over the next few years. As somebody who was there for a year, it sort of helped him figure out just sort of the nuts and bolts of the process, and then watching sort of how he's continued to get fairly, and we're talking about a capital budget here, but fairly significant increases if you look over the past few years. This year was mostly level funded, but that's on top of a pretty significant increase last year in his capital funding.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for your acquaintance. You tell the mayor that, you met with us and we've given you directions to talk.
Great.
Is that okay?
Perfect.
Thank you for being here.
Anytime.
We have people here from Hickory Knoll.
Yeah.
All right, I invited them here, so I want to put them on the agenda right now. You want to come up?
Thank you.
Well, introduce yourself. Of course, I've met you before, but they haven't met you, so it'll be the first time introduction.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is, Danielle Schumacher. I am a homeowner, both a homeowner, at Hickory Knoll. I'm also the president of the HOA board, at Hickory Knoll. I've been here, I moved in, my husband and I finished the home February 2022. We're on a newer half on Erin Court. Angel here, has been on Bend Boulevard for 12 years. 12 years he's been here, so he's one of our longtime residents. And we are here, it's a situation that's been ongoing for the last couple of years. I was voted onto the board as the president a few years ago. And, one of the issues that our, homeowners brought up is that the speeding issue in our community. And so, while we've tried to do this for the last couple of years, we have not been successful. This past week, unfortunately, one of our homeowners, lost her beloved fur baby. And the reason why is because this is a woman who walks her dog, every single day. All of the neighbors know her, very friendly woman. Her puppy is friendly, shy, and sweet. And she keeps her puppy right next to her side all the time. The issue that arose was there was a tenant or a resident or a homeowner who was speeding in the neighborhood and hit the puppy and killed the puppy and proceeded then to leave. He had to go to work or something like that. And left her there. It was during the hour of the day that the children were getting off the school bus. You know, she was, of course, naturally hysterical. That's the only baby she had. And so she lost her puppy. My concern is I turned to the homeowners and I asked them, what if this was a child? What if this was one of our elder community members? What if this was one of us? What if the driver had hit her, and killed or injured her? So we are here today to we have a petition that Angel actually went door to door a couple of nights ago, and we have a total between the signatures and emails that the board has received requesting that we get large speed bumps put in our community, at least 4 to 5 of them, to hinder the speeding. On Erin Court, we have a cul-de-sac. And so that naturally kind of slows down most of the drivers, but once they come down that road and go to Bend Boulevard, Angel will tell you, he has a letter that he'd like to read to you. He will tell you there are some people that are flying up to 40 miles an hour. But we have a lot of children in our neighborhood. My son walks to school every day. Walks to the bus stop most mornings. And, we just like to put in we like to, number one, lower the speed zone. It's at 25 miles an hour right now, which is entirely too fast for our neighborhood. We're thinking in between 10 and 15, no more than 15 miles an hour, to go through our neighborhood. And then the speed bumps, if we put at least 5 coming down from Erin Court going into Bend Boulevard and on out to Red Hill, should at least slow people down enough so that we feel safe and comfortable. We have a lot of dog owners, as I said, a lot of children, and we just feel like without these things, that our whole community is at risk.
And as you bring that up, I believe the 25 miles per hour is set by the state. Am I correct with that?
That's a town road.
Pardon?
I think that's a town road.
A town.
Town. Right, Boulevard is town.
It is a town road, and I don't know exactly what your authority is on changing speed limits.
But I know the state has something to do with it, so, you know,
It is very typical that in residential areas it's 25, so that's not uncommon. I'm trying to think if I've seen any, I think it's only been on private roads, although we don't have any in town, where I've seen it lower than that.
Right.
So I just don't know, I can look
we,
into it.
we'll be in process with, see what we can do to get done with that, but go ahead with the,
Oh.
you know, if you will,
Okay.
or whatever you want.
I'm just gonna pass this along. I just wanted to introduce us, and then, Angel has a letter that he's.
Yeah, I got a letter down, good afternoon, Commissioner. I had it written for good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and y'all, but I'm gonna change it up. I have some pictures here to show how the road looks and what the dog was hit at. We have two parks coming into Ben Boulevard. To right here, you got a park on your right and a park on your left, and you got the mailbox there. The dog was hit right there.
On the
Lucky
street?
the young lady wasn't struck too. He was doing about 45 miles an hour through there.
But
I
I
had,
had the dog got away from her?
No.
Was she safe?
she was walking in, the dog was gonna go across the street. And says they have vehicles, they had a truck there, parked, a black truck. Apparently she didn't see the vehicle coming so fast.
Oh,
Uh,
so the dog led.
The dog was leading to the other side of the park.
I got you.
And, so anyway, like this morning, I was getting in my vehicle. Before I got in the vehicle, they had a white, Pathfinder, like a 2016. Must've came 45 miles. Phew.
Yeah.
Before I tried to take a picture of this, license plate, he was already, boom, gone up Red Hill Road. My concern is that it's gonna happen to one of the kids. I have a 9-year-old that stays with me, a stepson of mine. They love to go to those parks right there. That's the only playgrounds they got nearby. And so they cross from one side to the other one. I was suggesting, and I have pictures here that I can give y'all for y'all can see what I'm looking at. For y'all can see what I'm saying. Could I pass it on to y'all?
You can pass on.
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. And I've written on there, where, you know, where the speed bumps should be placed at least 2 speed bumps coming in.
At least, yeah.
Well,
No, okay, ready to finish
At
it.
least 2 speed bumps coming into the community off of Red Hill Road. So when you turn in, one right before, I'll say 20 feet before you get near to the playgrounds. And then another one when you're coming out 20 feet before you get into the playground. They also that I noticed, they're supposed to have children at play slow down. One is missing, the one coming in. The one is on this side coming back out, it's a small one. And I remember when I first moved there, the town came in, Public Works, they take care of those parks and those signs. Because at that time, with Alan McCarthy, they had built that community with his friends. So my concern is, this is gonna happen to a person, what I got right here, and I'm gonna read it to y'all. Bringing this proposal to the board, we got over 50 signatures of residents that approved this for speed bumps and to reduce the speed. And concern of neighbors getting hurt. Because I have a dog, I have a 9-year-old, everybody in the neighborhood got kids or animals. We have speeders, because for what I think, and I'm gonna just go away from this. They have people that rent in the new community in the back.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are having the problems.
Oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
And, I think at least let's start from the back line, treat the neighborhood. You know, my concern is at least 2 speed bumps where the kids play at to make them slow down and stop
Yeah.
and see. We can't control the drivers. The only way we can control them is putting speed bumps through the neighborhood and lowering the speed. That's the only way you're gonna have these bad behavior drivers be controlled.
There should be consequences, you know, before we get to that point where a child is struck or elderly member.
We would certainly like to prevent that.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
I'm listening, but I just want to make a point.
well, can I just say, last year, I think you brought this up to us too, I remember there were a lot of other issues and I think Commissioner Gibbons and, a lot of the directors are out there. I know that the town typically requests the police department to do like a traffic survey.
Yeah.
And so we did that at that time. I know, I guess it was a call yesterday. I was in a training, seminar, but, I heard this one, I had been the phone call. So my patrol lieutenant is going to refresh that survey. We'll have some enforcement up there to see if that's an issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, because in developments like that, you're right, it's gonna be the residents that
Yeah.
are gonna be the culprits, right? Or their, friends or family. Right, so that may help you, I don't know, it can be hard, I hear you saying 45, it can be a little hard to judge, even 25, if you're standing still in a residential area, can seem pretty fast. But we will actually, like I said, he's already put the order out to refresh that survey, and there'll be some enforcement up there. But, so we'll get better numbers on that. The town usually is adverse to putting in any kind of speed bumps, because I will tell you, like, it will also cause them to speed in between. And so you'll hear they'll gun their engine and stuff like that. Those that do it, if you have, responsible people that are responsible drivers, it doesn't happen, but it can. So I just caution you, if the town does approve that, it's not always a cure all.
Okay, well, we were hoping that if we at least put in 4 to 5, I don't know how typical or standard that is, but that, it's pretty, they probably will gun it in between, but then by the time they hit that next one, they're gonna tear the car up.
I'm just telling you, we've had some complaints from other communities. I think Patriots done this one right. Some when it was first built, and I hear people complain about that it sounds crazy with the cars going over and how fast they go over.
Yeah.
Patriots Green is less than 25 miles going in there. And it was at 15. Ron became that.
Look, we're gonna look at, who is really, tuned into putting.
Yeah,
speed
who's allowed
bumps
to make
and
those
the distance,
decisions?
because I saw one where you had right where the driveway is, and I know they don't usually put them right where the driveway, but I'm not expert at it, but we're gonna get to the experts that deal with this.
Okay.
And we're hearing what you're saying,
Okay,
but most of the, homeowners association dictates and tells what's going on in their development.
yeah,
And it's really not us that's telling you the speed and all that stuff. Normally, if I was running the homeowners association, this is my opinion, I would make sure that my renters know that any speeding above this time is either automatic eviction from that's the first thing I would start from the homeowners association.
Yeah.
And that right there could open some eyes to the people that are speeding. That's just my opinion, but go on with your presentation.
Dan Hanley, are you online? What is the measurable spacing of speed humps when they are, or bumps when they are up or down?
Thank you, Commissioner. Basically, the our ordinance says that speed humps are to be placed 300 feet apart at a minimum, but 200 feet from intersections and 200 feet from cul-de-sacs. The actual road length itself of Bend Boulevard is only like 800 feet long. So the road itself is not that long to consider. The other thing I would like to point out to the HOA is if you put extra humps in, you may lose a parking spot for people out front. That's the other thing. Unfortunately, there was no natural cause for that one. So that's one thing to consider, because if it goes in front of somebody's house, then you've kind of affected parking. And the other thing to consider, which the board is realizing, is they're all residents. There's no interior traffic going through there. So that's the other thing just to consider, that, basically it's the residents of Bend Boulevard and Aaron Court. That's all that's around that area.
Okay.
I got a question. This is Mr. Bernardo. We do have islands in between the townhouses. Those speed bumps can be put with the islands and the lights are at. Nobody can park there. There's no driveway there. And my suggestion is to save these kids, because the summertime is coming, they're gonna be playing out there, riding their bikes, to at least put 300 feet apart, like you say, where the playgrounds are at. That would help the kids.
Did you hear him, Dan?
Yeah, if you're talking the playground coming right off on Red Hill Road, that's the playground around there, but that's less than 200 feet. So that's what I'm saying for that one. So if you're talking about the island you have in the middle, that's probably might be far enough away from that one. So, but I know you guys were interested in 5 of them. It's just I don't think you can physically put 5 in. So
How many do you think maximum? I mean, we're talking 800, so every 3.
You have it go, you have 800 feet of road. That's all you have, basically. So
Every,
just
yeah,
one.
all right.
Yeah, they have to come out and actually,
They gotta come
Do the
assess the
survey,
road.
yeah.
yes,
they
that's
do.
the road and maybe you figure out a clever way to,
You maneuver it,
maneuver it, put them where they really are needed, but
okay.
you know how we have the crossing marks on for the hospital for pedestrians? That's state regulated, right?
Dan would do more than.
Dan?
Then the crossroads, near the hospital, I mean, the cross space, is that federal or regulated? How's that determined?
Stop for pedestrians?
I'm really not sure that's actually regulated itself. That particular one, I think I have to get back to you on that one. I mean, if you're looking for just 2 arrows, like it's a crossing thing, you can do something like that. I mean, that's
I was thinking between the parks, as an additional measure, perhaps we could have it painted off, where people have to stop for pedestrians, like children crossing back and forth between the parks or something. It's just a thought.
I don't know, but the other thing you have to be careful about that one is you're coming off Red Hill Road, so that's why the park's like literally right next to Red Hill Road, so that may affect the
There's
traffic.
okay, well.
That's the
they only
reason why
have to-
because coming and going.
They'd only have to stop if somebody was crossing the road, right, or trying to cross the road, but I understand what you're saying.
I noticed something over in, Newark when you cut through from, onto, Route 2. They, offset the straight road with a plant bush or whatever on one side where you had to go around, and then one on the other side where you had to make the turn around instead of, so you had to slow down, you just couldn't go straight down. They made like, I don't know whether you can do that or not, but they zigzagged it
Yeah, I
so
know.
that it would be a straight road.
Yeah.
That would be a good
But
idea to bring
I
up.
just don't, if you're listening to him, I just don't understand why you came, if we coming up on Red Hill Road, coming into the development, from there to where the mailbox is, I'm gonna measure myself. It's gotta be over 300 feet.
To the beginning of the park, is that what you're talking about?
And then comes the park, I'm talking to the mailbox, and then here's the parks. That's gonna be at least,
So the mailbox
it's
is
gonna be at least over
marked
400
the
feet.
beginning of the park, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
And you think there's more than 300?
yeah. I will measure myself.
And what about the signs? Can we at least do something about the signs?
Can we get larger signs?
Larger signs, and we're missing one.
I think I saw Chief right there, children play.
Yeah, I'm writing it all down, I don't,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I don't know, I think
signs.
we have to
But
be,
Aaron and I can talk about this.
yeah, you need to they'll investigate it, they'll be clever about their options,
Okay,
and I'm sure they'll come up with a plan.
Okay. If there's any, what we can do, make some.
Yeah.
Chief, I would appreciate if you do beef up, have a patrol, y'all done it before. We know y'all pretty busy a lot. We had a problem there when they was breaking into the cars. I was calling the 911. And I think y'all had a shootout with some of the big, persons going out the road because y'all almost caught them. It was pretty bad back there when I first moved. They was coming and breaking in cars, gangs of 5 or 6 of them jump out of the car. And my window, my camera goes off. And I will call 911.
Yeah.
And this is at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they were doing that in a lot of neighborhoods.
Yeah,
Yeah. But we actually did, thanks to,
yeah, they started
we
patrolling,
actually started doing a lot of
patrolling through there.
proactive patrolling and did start cases.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to help you, for sure.
We really appreciate it.
But,
We just worried that it happened to a poor dog, a golden
Go to retrieve.
retriever, beautiful dog. It can happen to one of the kids.
Yeah, everyone in the community is alarmed, and that's why we have so much support. We have one of our, community members, Alicia, that, has her hand raised there. Everybody's extremely concerned. A lot of people witnessed the dog being killed. A lot of folks have been complaining about the speed limit, and we're very concerned about our children.
Alicia, would you like to speak?
Yes, sir. I was one of the witnesses as I'm right in front of the parks. You know, we picked this home to move in to grow our family, so that they'll be right next to the park and have a place to play. And this front area especially of the neighborhood, as you're just ending the last few homes, people just really ramp it up to get out of the neighborhood here, and the parks are right there. And there is space. I'm looking at it right now out my window. There is a space to put speed bumps either right in front of the post office boxes, or maybe like a staggered speed bump that goes diagonally from one island to the other, that splits up the um, visitors parking lots. But this is, at minimum, we need one in front of these playgrounds. I have two small children. The dog got away from her yesterday, but it could have been my children getting in the car in the morning. I have a 3-year-old son, and one minute he can be holding your hand and the next not. It's very concerning for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is
Oh.
that a known resident?
Can I ask Dan Hanley?
Alicia.
No, that's bad. And
Oh, that's bad. Not right now. I'm not sure if he was a visitor or if he's the actual homeowner. We're figuring it out.
One that ran over the dog,
Yeah,
he lives back, he's a renter,
he's a renter.
yeah, he's on my side of the street,
It
cause
has,
I'm right by the park myself too.
it has been stated, and I will send out a letter to all of the homes in the neighborhood. It has been stated on we usually communicate through a Facebook page. We have all the homeowners on a Facebook group. We are going to send out a letter. It has been stated that we would be, if we find someone that is a renter that has been speeding, we will be talking to their landlord about evicting them. The board has given fair warning already. And we're just gonna reiterate that in a letter, send that around, that we won't be tolerating the speeding. We have one particular woman that, we have to find her homeowner. Once we find him, that we will be talking to him about evicting her, because there have been 2 or 3 witnesses, that have actually talked to her and said, hey, can you slow down? A dog just got hit in the neighborhood. And she twiddled her fingers and just sped off, as if, who's gonna stop me? So it's the attitude that we're trying to change, and we have to be very serious about this. So that they know there are serious consequences. And if you strike a human being or a child and kill them, there are.
I think the homeowner association can have sometimes more authority than that.
Sometime coming into.
Because, you live in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Under that association.
Yeah.
So at this time, Dan, we're going to task you with the responsibility of seeing about the corrections and what they have asked for, and in conjunction with the chief, also coming up with safety habits and issues and whatever they can do as far as the speed out there. Is that acceptable, Dan?
Yes, I got it, Commissioner. I'll look into it. No
Is
problem.
there anything that you need from us right now, or from the homeowners here?
Me?
Yes.
All we would ask, honestly, is just finish the survey, just to make sure what's what, because I think only 21 so far. Because what it affects a lot of people. We just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to do the survey. That's all we ask.
We do have, like I said, we have a petition here. We have signatures. We have over 50, more than 60% support. And so if you need this information for that, hopefully that will help.
Is there any way you can rush the survey and come, check the street out and see where you can put the speed bumps at?
He's gonna do whatever he has to do in time, but I think the initial thing and the most important thing is to get the survey out, because it does speak numbers and allows us to do or not do according to that.
What about, excuse me, I'm sorry for interrupting. What about taking the sign down of the 25 miles per hour at least? Because that's right in front of the neighborhood. It is extremely fast. You can go through town.
I don't know whether we can do that. Chief, you want to respond to that, or Dan?
If we get, that's the only way we can enforce it. First of all, you have to tell people what the speed limit is, and then that's the only way we would be able to enforce it. If it wasn't there, and somebody's flying down 50 miles an hour, we couldn't do anything.
Right.
So we definitely would need to do that, but we can look into who has the authority to change it. Lewis may even know that if you guys can change it, or if it has to be the state. it's a town road, I just don't know, but we can definitely look into that, and then if it kind of, if you guys do want to change it.
Yes.
Excuse me, if I can say, I do know that, I think, Brittany and she had looked at some information pertaining to, speed limit signs and so forth. And like you were saying, Commissioner Gibbons, it's related to, state highway, I think, because there are certain parameters, I believe, that, dictate the speed limit, for a particular area, so. And in terms of the survey, we do have that survey set up and ready to go out. We do have the survey for the two of you to complete if you'd like to do that today as well. And then if I could get the information that you transferred to the board to review, to include on our minutes, I would appreciate that. Okay.
Do you need these back? Or you want her to have them?
No, I'll tell you, you want that move?
Would you guys like the signatures and emails as well?
Want that
Do
move?
you expect more or?
Yes, actually, we do expect more. We have, one of the, management companies has like 14, 15 properties there. They have already said that they will support us and, their desire to, whatever will make the community safe, and that includes putting in speed bumps and lowering the speed limit. So we have a good chunk of the community, I'd say at least a good 80% of the community.
Well, I was gonna say, if they have collected these signatures or have them, why do we need to send out a duplicate survey?
Because look, they have, some of the people in the neighborhood may not want it, and one of our policies
Exactly.
is we have to have a percentage of
Well,
the
that's
people.
what we're talking
60%.
about.
There's
Yeah,
84
but
homes.
see, they did one
Understand.
before, it didn't pass, so
Right.
that's why we're sending out another. And that was a year ago to see how they feel now about the speed humps and the survey.
The issue.
So
with
we're
that-
doing it again.
Okay, so
Sorry to
it's
be
just
the
not
interrupt. The issue with that is that some of the renters are not passing that information on to the homeowners. And so, that's why we went around to collect signatures from homeowners. And we have over 60%, it states that as long
But
as,
this, I hate to cut you off, but the signature is not the same as the survey. We need the survey back to the pertinent information that we need in order to affect change if that's to be done.
okay.
We're just on our code, that's all. But I understand this, severity.
Yeah, well, some of them are renters that sign that, and to me, it's way over 60%.
I understand that, but
I
that's,
might have had, I'm sorry, Mr. Palmer.
that's, we understand that part, that's what you're doing, but we have to follow our
Right,
procedure
right.
here.
Yeah.
We just can't, because if everybody wanted to say, okay, here's what I got, and bring it in, then we have a dispute with who gave what, so we've got to follow our procedure, and that's all.
So what the percentage of renters do you have there? Because sometimes they don't affect change good or bad sometimes because they're just there and you
Yeah.
still have an owner who may not fill that out, but you know, the renter could be lackadaisical with that.
Well, I would say that with the combination of the management company or the owner of the 14, 15, townhomes with the homeowners, we have well over 60% support.
Right, that's good. So they have to fill that out in your favor.
The last time the cards went out, they were tiny cards, almost the size of a business card. I guarantee you half of them were not seen because they are so small. They probably got mixed up in most people's.
Oh, it's coming from whom?
The
town?
last time they did the survey for the speed bumps.
Were they?
We do have an example there, friend, or,
Yeah. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
what I'm
What
talking
were
about.
they? Okay.
Okay,
and that will accompany the town's policy
okay,
information,
okay.
regarding speed humps.
In a
and
letter,
Along with
in
a
an
letter,
envelope.
correct.
Are we sending these out to the names on the deeds, or are we just sending these out to addresses? Because there are, I have done, a query, or inquiry about getting a list of homeowners whose names are actually on the deeds and their addresses. So wherever they send the water bill to, you know, that's who the address that we would like to get things like this sent to, because the homeowners are the ones who make the big difference and make the decisions in our community.
A list of addresses was requested by the finance department, and they did provide that list of addresses along Bend Boulevard and Aaron Court.
Okay,
So I'm not sure in terms of how that information is pulled up in terms of if it's, what it's specific deed, or if it's just strictly pulled out based on.
Well, the finance department, they would be in control of like the taxes and things like that, right? Or they send out the,
Not the property tax.
like, property tax.
Yeah, just the building.
Okay.
Is what,
Kathleen, I'm just curious, would they be able to take those, forms and maybe have an HOA meeting, the cards, and have them fill it out there?
Can we do that?
I think that would be a great idea because we sitting up here talking now, this is very, very small. It could get lost
Yeah,
in the mail.
Yeah.
And it's not inviting even for you to even fill it out.
yeah.
Plus put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it and mail it back.
So what can we do if
I
we
like
gonna
that
change to this? What's the idea?
well, the only thing I wanted to confirm was whether or not we want to confirm that the addresses that we sent, the surveys to truly, in fact, go to that address.
Well, can
In other
can
words,
the
the post
form be-
office will,
Oh.
the activity of the post office will, confirm that took place.
Right, so you're not just having all your families fill it out.
But for my
But if they-
recognition,
I'm sorry.
they was put out on the door.
Well, that's even,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know.
They was put-
So, no, if a new form had their name and address on it, and their signature, like saying, yeah, I live at this address and there's my signature, isn't that good enough? Wouldn't that cover our,
Well, we don't have
Problem?
any indication that the recipient is truly that individual.
True.
because it has their name here and their signature, but we don't know.
Right, so if we use the mailing aspect, we know for a fact that survey is going directly to that individual.
If there's something that we could administer as a homeowners association, we would know, we would be able to verify and validate who those people are.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't have an answer for that.
I think we recreate too much right here. Wait a minute. We were creating too much difference of what we need to do. We need to focus on what we need to do to get it in and out back to the town.
Okay.
One thing is our water bills. I don't know if those went out yet.
Yeah.
See, if we had done this early, we could have put it on the water bill. We definitely sure add to that address. But anyway, I'm not reading it, nothing.
If you want somebody to respond, you'd almost have to provide them with an envelope, a pre-addressed envelope that's been stamped. So that they will actually put it in there and mail it, otherwise they might not even bother. But I'm okay with that. Whatever it takes.
Right now, I guess it's gonna be mailed to them, right? Right. That's what's set up.
We're working on it. I mean, we're hearing all these concerns and that's not gonna go unnoticed.
We will try to be here next month, and hopefully give you guys an update on that.
We'll be working on it sooner than next month, but hopefully, yeah, some of
You
our.
can let us know how it's going.
I do have
Okay.
one final question for Dan Hanley. This is just for clarification. Dan, can you get us a measurement from Red Hill Road to the beginning of the park?
Hold on one second. Okay.
And,
Yes. I can do that. That's what I'm working on this afternoon.
Very good. Thank you, Dan.
Give all the money.
Thank you for coming in. Unless you have any other questions, we're gonna do our all in all to assist you in this effort to bring about safety and change to your community.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
that.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody from the board has any reporting that they want to bring forth? I'm good. What is it, Gene?
Nothing. Not, sir.
This time of the meeting is, I'm sorry, forgot about anybody on the, online. Thanks for coming in, Alicia, not coming in, but offering your input.
Nicole, can I talk to you after the meeting real quick? Thanks.
Well, before you do that, Nicole, we brought you in, I don't know whether it's coming or not, we just had a couple of concerns. The chief filled that out for us. We know where the money was spent, so Jean's probably gonna talk to you about that right now, but especially in the meeting, we know exactly what was what. Okay? And with that being said, we're done at 1:29.